Oh, wow, what a great day. How are you doing? You're better here. How have you been this week? You're lying. No spiritual bypasses in this room. You'll get better when you tell the truth. The truth shall set you free. Truth heals. How were you last week? Okay, only the people that were disturbed came to first service. Fine. I gave them a tool that they could feel better. But if you don't feel bad, then never mind. It does feel good to be in a place where people are seeking a greater good. It feels good. One of the reasons to come, because a lot of you practitioners, people that have been around for a while, you know it. You don't need any more information. We need to feel good together. Together? That song is I just need it out. Poof. Anyway. So the reason I'm saying that is that I, for one, was a little disturbed last week. And so those of you that were disturbed and are willing to admit it, there's a tool that helps me get out of it. It's a simple tool. It's universally, as I've never seen it fail, but you have to do it. And so I will be offering that tool after service in the sanctuary for those of you that want to stay. Now, what's so interesting is that Reverend Jerry Hudson was here in the front row, and she says, I know that tool. I've known it forever, and I didn't use it last week. I'm going to give it to you, but you've got to still pull it out of the tool kit. You're going to have to use it. To feel better. Anyway. And actually, I don't even want to feel, I want to feel better. But you know how sometimes when you're sick and you feel a little better? I want to feel really good. I want to feel really powerful. I want to feel really secure. I want to feel like I can live the life I was intended to live no matter what's going on. I want to be the eye of the storm. That's what I want. Because sometimes what I've noticed in myself and others is that we are really good at coping. Okay, that's not my talk. I actually have a talk. I actually planned something. And this whole idea about giving the tool came to me when I was driving. Man, I'll tell you, that's something greater than myself is such a chatterbox in the car. I'm driving and I can't take notes or nothing, and it's going, what I'd really like you to do is I know how people are feeling, and I'd really like you to do this thing. It's like, I don't have time, I got to talk. Well, how about doing it in between services? I usually do other things in between services. It says. So I did it in between services, and I think it worked. Did it work, Andrea? I think so. So I'm going to offer it after this service, too. And for online people, because first service, they complained online. No, really, when do we get the tool? We're nice people. Anyway, it will show up on the Wednesday Faith Lift for next week. On Wednesday, everybody can have it. For those of you that want to be in the room, because it's more powerful in the room, you'll still have something you can play over and over and over again. Okay, everybody's happy? Okay, let's get better and better after that. And better is my talk, which is be careful what you ask for. How many of you that know about the ability to pray and receive a result, get a result? How many of you have prayed or affirmed or manifested something only to realize, yuck, and then you had to pray your way out? Anybody? Was it just me? Whoa! So I've actually, out of doing this so many times, in the last 50 years, I just had to do this in my head. 50 years I've been doing this. I've refined how to do things better. So this whole month has been planned around how to do things better, how to have the life I want without making so many mistakes and finally landing on something. Because before, when I started using these tools, it was sort of like, it was like blackjack at the casino. Eventually you're going to get one. But you paid a lot in, probably. And then did you win back your money? I could give you so many examples about that, mainly having to do with husbands. But anyway. So therefore, the talk, it was ready, set, and the whole theme for January is ready, set, initiate. So many of us start something without really being ready and setting the mindset so it's going to turn out, and we just start something, which is, I'll pray and I could do it and I just got to see the end, and it's like it doesn't fall together well. And sometimes it's a lot of effort, and sometimes you get it and then you go, ooh, ick. I did that with a job once. I wanted a job because I loved the title. And I was with a Fortune 100 company, and it was just right. I was like, somebody from Eugene, actually Springfield. They don't. Most of the people I went to high school thought it was really great to be a bookkeeper. I wanted a corner office with a Fortune 100 company. And I really liked the title of this one job. And man, I knew how to manifest, and I got that job. It was, there was no way that I should get that job, but God landed everything up. Like, they interviewed me before they actually saw my resume. It was so good. And that I wasn't qualified. It was so wonderful. And then I got the job, and I hated it. It was about business. Who knew that account executive was about business? Anyway, so I had to pray my way out of that one. It served its purpose. I learned a lot. I might talk about it more later. So I'm trying to set you up to be an intelligent creator of having a life of more health, more wealth, and more wisdom. Intelligently. We get ready by having an elegant ending to things that don't work, so that you can have a beautiful beginning of something new. So if an elegant ending, I'll give you an example. One of the husbands I had didn't really end it with his prior wife. And it's not like they were having, I hear this, ooh, soapbox, ooh, this is good. Well, give us the dirt. No, he ended it, but he didn't end it. So sometimes he'd talk to me and I'd say, no, this isn't me, that was your previous wife. You're still acting like I'm your previous wife. I'm not your previous wife. Do you see how sometimes you have to end it and really let it go so that you can begin again? We also, and just speaking from a metaphysical point of view, we have to give up limiting ideas of ourselves, others, and the universe. Now, there was a time it really served me when I had no father in the house to have a heavenly father. I grew up having a heavenly father. I just loved the idea of a heavenly father that I could talk to. He'd give me advice. I'd pray. He'd take care of me. In my own mind. I had to outgrow that to have a greater experience of what the universe is. That was beyond one form that I actually, in my mind, I prayed early because it was probably less busy. No, really, I was young. I had to get over this whole idea that something which looked like a man with a flowing robe was God. I had to give that up to move into a greater experience of my greater God. So we get ready by letting go of the stuff that's gotten in the way. Then we get set, and we get set by expanding our ability to have more good in our life. We expand our ability to just get better. And there was a great talk on that. Let's see, it was January 12th, given by Jerry Hudson, and you can get that on YouTube. I'm not going to go into that. So we got ready and set, and now we're getting ready to initiate, which means to begin. Last week, I spoke about having a clear purpose about what you want to begin, a purpose for why you're here, a purpose for why you want to do that or this or whatever. And when I know my why, that why is like a spark plug for what happens next, which is the what that I'm willing to accept. And that I'm not going to get into. It's also on YouTube. Watch it. It's free. Of course, everything here is free, unless you want to give, so I don't know what the difference is. But anyway, you can watch it on YouTube. Get clear on your purpose, your why for your life, for this year, for the things that you say that you want. So now we get into setting intentions. You all have cards? Great. Don't fill them out yet. Put them down. We're not ready yet. But when you are ready, Jerry's here with intention cards. Anybody need some? Just raise your hand and she'll make sure you have some while I'm talking. Because what I want to say first is what doesn't work for me, and I do not recommend resolutions. Resolutions are, I will do this, I won't do that. Resolution is usually our willpower trying to overcome our habits. And have you noticed habits are hard to overcome? However, when you have an intention, the intention seems to moderate our habits and we don't have to work so hard at them. So I'm going to get to intentions in a minute. The other thing I don't recommend, or I'm not going to teach really, is goals. A goal is something that you can check off. A goal is something that you can say, I did it, but it may not give you the experience that you want. It may not give you the experience you want. How many of you have lined everything up and not got the experience you want? How many of you back in the day when you made lists and didn't get the experience you wanted? Thank you. I bet you women understand. Yes, I did a list. It didn't work out. I had goals. I wanted to be successful at this job I hated. And really, I did. So we got to work in certain markets. My market was real estate. In what was the year when the real estate just fell away? Oh, yeah, remember? And interest rates were like 12 and 15%. People now complain at 7, 12 and 15%, and I had to sell large systems of phone systems to real estate companies that were scrunching down and barely surviving. And I did, because I prayed. I don't know how it happened, but I'd say, God, I need a sale this month, and the sale would show up. But I didn't feel good. I didn't feel successful. I didn't feel full. The goal was met, but the experience was still like, I got to do more. I got to do more. And so I remember driving to a sales call and saying, God, I just want to be successful. I just want to be successful. Although, according to the charts, I was successful. How many of you have done that? You do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do everything you think you can, and you don't have the feeling that you want. You don't have the inner experience that you want. That's what goals do. As it turns out, though, when I finally told God what I really wanted, which was to feel successful, I got to the office, and not my boss, but my boss's boss, who was like in a rarefied, office that nobody ever went to. It's like the Wizard of Oz. Called me in. I had a message on my desk before voicemail. There was a pink slip on my desk. So-and-so wants to see you. Okay, he found out I hate my job. I went and he said, Kathianne, I don't know. Has anybody ever told you what a valuable employee you are? Has anybody told you that you really are making a difference to this department? No. No, because I hadn't. But all of a sudden I felt successful because I felt seen. God knew what it took for me to feel successful. God knew how to do that. If I just started out with, I am a successful human being, I would have felt it, and maybe I wouldn't have had to work so hard. Does this make sense? Yeah. Thank you. All right, now, so what do I recommend? I recommend intentions. Intentions. Intentions, if we looked in the dictionary, it would be described as an aim. The definition is one of intention is to aim for something. But I go also with the works of Judge Thomas Troward, who says that an intention is an end, it's a target. It's what you have your eye on. But then he goes on and he says, but metaphysically, in that end is the means. There is the unfoldment of the path, where many human beings want to know the path and know it's accomplishable. Is that a word? It sounds awful. Anyway, it's possible. Thank you. I have my, thank you. My yeah, well, anyway. That's why we just have to have mind meld, and it'll be so much better. In that end is the means, but instead of, I watch myself, not anymore, but I've watched others figure out what's possible, and then they choose a target. No, choose the target, and what's possible will unfold. It's like magic. It's so magical. It doesn't make sense until you do it. To hold that end in mind, just like you would keep your eye on the target. An illustration would be that I really wanted to have relationships with my sisters. I'm 10 years older than the oldest. And because we were so far apart, 10-year-olds don't really want to play with 1-year-olds, and 20-year-olds really don't want to hang out with 10-year-olds. But I got to a certain age where I saw people have siblings, and I thought that would be nice. But we had always been so separate. It was like I did my thing. I'd send them cards. I'd do this. I'd do that. I'd call them, and no response. And so I finally just had it as an intention. And I think I had an intention for 2 or 3 years. And then all of a sudden, God invented Facebook so that I could have a relationship with my sisters. And I don't know why that made a difference, but we started communicating and we started sharing, and I'd support them and they'd support me, and now I have sisters. I have sisters I can talk to, that I can call on, that I can commiserate with, that we can say, this is what Dad did. I didn't remember. I mean, like we can have these conversations. It's marvelous. That was an intention. But don't fill out an intention yet. I'd like to upgrade those intentions to having a high and holy intention. A high and holy intention is one that requires a partnership with the divine. I know someone who wanted to buy a house even though they had incredibly lousy credit. And the only way they bought that house, and they would tell you their story, is because they prayed, they had a whole bunch of people praying for them, and God is bigger than the banking organizations. And somehow, she got a loan, and she moved into her house. I know another person who's also prominent in our organization, who was, she was in enormous debt, not because she did it, but because her ex-partner had done a whole bunch of business stuff, and she signed the papers, and the partner went away and left the debt. That was gigantic. In a very short time, when she kept praying and seeing herself out of debt, she not only got out of debt, but now she has surplus. See, she couldn't have, it's like there was no way to work it. But God had a way to work it. For both of those things, those conditions, in the short period of time that it took. It's not like, oh, and 10 years later her credit score went up. It wasn't like, oh yeah, and 10 years later she paid everything off and finally got some money. No, in a very short period of time, everything turned around, and they would say it was divine intervention. So what's something that you're afraid to ask for, you're afraid to intend because you've already decided that it's impossible? That's a high and holy intention. That's a high and holy intention. For me, it's to not get sick. I set that intention early. I took my first trip out of the country to Russia. Really? Went to Moscow. It was colder than cold. We laughed like what they fed us was like a mystery. I mean, really, it's like, what is this? I don't know, but I'm really hungry. I came back, I was so sick, I was sick for 3 months. And in kind of a cold, fluish, run down, no energy kind of way. And in the midst of that, I said, I'm ready to get well, God. I'm going to be well, God. And by the way, I never want to be sick again. That was in 1992. And by sick, I meant this sick. The respiratory, the fever, the no energy. And I haven't been sick ever again. That's 30 years. I don't get the colds. I don't get flu. I did not get COVID. People will go around me and say, stay away from me. I don't get sick. People in the office, they get sick. I don't get sick. I mean, actually, I'm obnoxious because I just don't get sick. Why? Because it's my high and holy intention that God keep me from being sick. Now, it doesn't mean that I should have been more specific. It doesn't mean that I haven't had some conditions, but I haven't gotten sick. Does it make sense? Now I said, and all that other stuff. But I don't want you to stop there. I want you to have a big, hairy, audacious intention. A big, hairy, audacious intention. A be-hay. And that is so big that it will make you grow. It'll make you grow in your idea of yourself and the universe. That the only way that it can happen is that you have a whole new identity. That's a be-hay. Big, hairy, audacious intention. So do you see when we start out in intentions and your mind's going, oh yeah, we could do that. And then high and holy, okay, maybe. Now you're telling your subconscious mind, we're going to grow. I want something that will make me grow. What would make me shift my mind about what I think is true for myself, for the world, and the universe? I'll give you another example. I had to accept that God was my source, and I would have everything that I needed, which means I would be supplied not only now, but into the future. Because how many of you worry about the future? Well, I worried about the future. I worried about what I would have in the future. And this happened, it was like a bunch of things happened at the same time. I got a marvelous loan for very little money down from Washington Mutual. And it was so slippery that when Washington Mutual went down, nobody wanted to take on those loans. It was so slippery that I also found out we were underwater like $300,000. So getting a loan is like weird. That on top of, we had just moved in and I got a notification from our home office where I'd been paying into for years and years and years and years into a pension plan that the pension had gone defunct. And I had a horse habit. We'd bought this place with 4 horses that needed to be fed. I think it would be easier to have any other addiction, at least cheaper than the horse habit. So all of this is together, and I wanted to be a victim, and I wanted to see that we could maybe get by, and I was trying to have all these plans about how we were going to make it work, and my mind is exploding, and it's not working out, and it's not penciling out, and I said, no, I will not be a victim. God is my source, and I look to God for my sufficiency in this moment and into the future, forever and ever, amen. The same way, see, some of us just want to fix. I wanted sufficiency forever. You know, when I finally got to have the marriage that I want is when I could say I want a satisfying, fulfilling, and supportive relationship for the rest of my life. Not just I want to meet somebody. I don't know if that's the giggle of recognition or what, but anyway. Do you see what I'm saying? A high and holy intention is where you have to change not now, but into the future. I had to see myself as well cared for by the universe because my organization wasn't doing it, my banking system wasn't doing it, and my pocketbook wasn't doing it. And you know what? If I want it, if I need it, it shows up. And I have enough money for Tim and I to live longer than we will live. Unless we live a really long time. God is sufficient, not just for now, but for every moment you breathe. I had to see myself as cared for. I had to see myself as wealthy, well off, even though the evidence wasn't there. That's a beehive. That's a beehive. Now you understand what you're doing? Take your card. And listen to your heart. Because a lot of times we want a fix. See, a fix would have been, get me a new mortgage. A fix would have been, I want to make some more money. A fix would have been, sell the horses. What's your heart want into the future that will change you and your relationship with the universe? And when you know that, write that down. And as you're listening, ask yourself, does this express more life and harm no one, including yourself? Does it express more life and harm no one? You know, a whole bunch of times, what I wanted was good for someone else, but was not good for me. It's got to be good for everybody if you're going to have God behind it. In it, as it, through it. Will this thing make you grow in your comfort with good and more good, better and better and better and better? If you have all of those things in that intention, then yes, this is a good thing. And when you're done writing things down, just simply look up because I have more to do. Now take a deep breath and see yourself in December of 2025 living in that intention, having that consciousness. Celebrating, look what has happened. Look how things have changed. Feel the end. Live into the end. Establish that end within yourself. Thank you for being so diligent. There are some things that I want to add to this. One of them is, tell people you trust about this intention. I remember telling my prayer partner, I did not tell my husband. I know, I love this. Bunch of people in couples going, Meow. Tell people who will believe in your intention with you. At the time, Tim was still mad at the bank. He was still mad at home office. He was not in a place to see a solution. He was in a place for revenge. But how are you going to take revenge? Really? No. Someone that can believe in the end with you. What's wonderful is we're having spiritual tune-ups today, so you could meet with a prayer practitioner and tell them, her, him, they, what your high and holy intention is, and they will pray with you to solidify that. Where two or more are gathered in an agreement, then the presence of God is also. Really powerful time to have an intention today. You wrote it down. There's other intentions that might come to mind. Write them down. And then look at them often. Don't let them get out of your sight. If you had a target, you'd keep your eye on that target. Have you seen those things where they use a bow and arrow or a gun and they're riding around on a horse? I mean, they got to keep their eye on that target. They don't just go, it's not, that'd be dangerous. Pray daily. What is mine to do to live my best year yet so far? What is mine to do today to live my best year yet so far? And by doing that, the means starts to unfold for you. I happened to find out that there was a mortgage broker in our congregation. And she got another person to the assessment on our house. I mean, step by step. It's not like I had it all planned out. It's like I kept praying and this came up and then that came up and then this came up. I got a great financial planner, and I took what little we had and I started to invest. And man, we did good. Things didn't come out of desperation. Watch it. Much of what you do, if you don't stay conscious, will come out of desperation instead of inspiration. By praying daily, what do I do today to make this the best year of my life so far, will allow you to listen to the inspiration of Spirit speaking to you daily. It's not like, one and done. Hey, I told you so-and-so and you didn't do it, so adios, amigos. Bucko. I mean, I don't know. But I listen to some people, it's like, I just know the power of daily conversations and listening and taking direction. And then you will grow in your faith and your trust in God because of this process. If you do this, if you have something that's going to grow you and you pray daily, what am I to do today? Whoa! You'll be able to take on so much more than this intention because your faith will grow. Your mental equivalence, which means what you are comfortable with, of your own spirituality will grow. It'll be amazing. And then what's going to happen is God is going to say over and over and over again, that you just have to trust me. Believe in me. I'm not going to let you down. So in closing, here's a song.